looked down and I realized my shoes had melted, completely melted. And standing in front of me was a mountain I still had to climb. Oh, the worst part was I was in a canyon with no way back. A day earlier, I had met two ladies at a hostel in Bolivia, and we decided to take on Colca Canyon, the deepest canyon in the world. At first, I thought it would be a great adventure. What I didn't realize was this was going to be one of the hardest hikes in my life. The sun beat down on us as we descended the canyon. Hour after hour, take those steps. I was covered in sweat. My joints, my whole body was screaming. But I would look over at those girls, and they were still moving forward every step. And so I kept pushing one foot, another. And after 5 hours, we had made it to the valley floor. Oh, I was so relieved. I took my backpack off. That evening, we swam, we laughed, and I had the best sleep that I've had in a long time. The next day, we packed our bags and got prepared to climb that hike. I looked down, grabbed my shoe. We have to use our imagination. The sole was flat. The deep grooves had disappeared. The canyon had literally melted them. I looked at the mountain, at my shoe, at the mountain. I'm supposed to climb that? I showed my shoes to the ladies I was with. They both had wide eyes, and one of them asked me, "Are you gonna be okay?" I had no idea. But what I said next has stayed with me ever since. Well, it is what it is. I guess I'll make the best of it. And so we started climbing from then on. One step after another. My feet felt awkward. I wasn't sure if the shoes would hold up. That summit was starting to feel impossible. But I kept pushing forward. I looked down at the dirt in front of me and told myself just the next step and a next. Somewhere along the way, something changed. The mountain didn't get smaller. I got stronger. Step by step, the thing that felt impossible became possible. And it's because I took that step. When we arrived to that next town, they were already celebrating something. The music filled the air. People were dancing. The whole town felt alive. And as I stood there, exhausted and grateful, I felt something I hadn't expected. I was proud because I hadn't given up when it got hard. Every meaningful thing in my entire life involved a step to make it happen when I wasn't ready. Traveling alone, starting a business, writing a memoir I wasn't sure anyone would understand. Parts of myself put in there I wasn't sure I wanted people to see. None of those things came with certainty, and none of them came with guarantee. None of them felt completely ready. They happened because I took that step. Years later, I realized I've been climbing another mountain. Writing a book isn't about writing pages, putting words on a paper for me. It's so much more. It's about finding the courage to share some of those stories I've held quietly for years that I felt weren't allowed to come out. And from this, I discovered something. The stories we're most afraid to tell are oftentimes the ones people need to hear. It's not because they're perfect, but because these stories are real. It's scary putting your thoughts onto page, and it's scary to risk someone say, oh, that story doesn't matter. Huh. And it's because of that, so many stories never get out there. Eventually, all of us find ourselves at the bottom of a mountain with melted shoes. This could be a business that's not growing as you had hoped. It could be a dream you've had for years. Or it could be a book that you've been wanting to write. When I work with writers today, I see this all the time. They're waiting to feel ready, waiting for the right time. But that isn't how books are created, and that's neither something in life. You don't see the entire mountain. You don't see what the outcome is. What you do see is that next step that you take. You don't need perfect conditions. And apparently, you don't need perfect shoes. So that story only you can tell is waiting on the other side of that next step. So what are you waiting for? Thank you.